Sports Group.
Earlier today, actually very early, the Cubs wrapped up against the Pirates. Now, the Reds are here. How about a good old-fashioned 7:05 first pitch tonight? Beautiful weather as we get you set for Cubs baseball. It has cooled off, but you see blue skies above. The first place Cincinnati Reds are in for the first of a 3-game midweek series. Hi again, everyone. Along with Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. The Reds have been just okay here lately, but they built a lot of equity over the first 5 months of the season. Bob, they have the largest lead in all of baseball.
Well, they've got a real good baseball team, and they've suffered some injuries. They've suffered some ineffectiveness offensively lately, but as you said, they built up enough of a lead in the division that they should comfortably cruise to the Central Division crown.
Their magic number is 5. The Cubs have a magic number of 5. It's to avoid 100 losses. That seems to be the biggest motivator right now for this team.
You know, Len, it may be a modest goal, but I've played on some losing teams, and whether it's because of injury or rebuilding or just a bad team, you have to have goals. And I thought it was great that we heard Anthony Rizzo a week or so ago talk about avoiding the 100 losses. No Cubs player wants to be on a team that loses 100, and I think the Cubs are going to play their best ball this season here at the end.
Homer Bailey will go for the Reds. It'll be former Red Justin Germano coming off a loss, but he was really good against the Astros his last time out. Cubs try to play the spoiler again. Coming up next.
Brought to you in part by your Chicago area and Northwest Indiana Lexus dealer, who invites you to test drive a Lexus today. Xfinity, your home for the most live sports. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Liberty Mutual Insurance. Responsibility. What's your policy? Toyota. Right now you can get a lot for less at your local Toyota dealer, official partner of the Chicago Cubs. The new wireless receiver from AT&T Uverse. Visit att.com/freeyourtv. Rethink possible. BMO Harris Bank. Helping money make sense. BMO Harris Bank. NA member FDIC. And by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
Much better weather. It has cooled off, but clear skies above. And it's the first of a 3-game series. Final time the Cubs and Reds will see each other this season. The Reds have had the upper hand so far, winning 9 of the first 13, including 5 of 7. Here at Wrigley Field, Justin Germano ready to work against this Reds Southwest starting lineup. They lead the league with 275 doubles. Brandon Phillips will start it. Drew Stubbs is in center. Joey Votto back in the lineup. Look at what he's hitting. .338 on the year. Ryan Ludwig Picked up a lot of slack while he was out. Jay Bruce struggling too for his last 27. Scott Rowlands at third. Ryan Hannigan, the catcher. Wilson Valdez in for the injured Zach Cozart at short. And Homer Bailey, the pitcher.
And here's how the Cubs will line it up defensively tonight. Alfonso Soriano in left, Brett Jackson in center, David DeJesus over in right field. It'll be Luis Valbuena, Starlin Castro on the left side of the infield. Potential National League Gold Glove winner Darwin Barney at second base. Anthony Rizzo at first base. Steve Clevenger doing the catching tonight. For right-hander, former Red Justin Germano. See the numbers on the season for Justin. In his 9 starts, he's never walked more than 2 batters in the game, but probably won't pitch much past the 5th or 6th inning.
He's trying to snap a 5-game skid. Tim Welke, the crew chief, gets to play tonight. Paul Schreiber at first, Mike Everett at second, Laz Diaz at third. Same crew that worked the game late last night, early this morning. The latest start in the history of this ballpark, 10:42 p.m. after a 3-hour, 37-minute rain delay. The latest finish as well, 1:28 a.m. Cubs dropped a 3-0 decision to the Pittsburgh Pirates.
I would assume that means that we sang the latest 7th inning stretch ever in the history of Wrigley Field.
You know what? You're probably right.
Still hear it echoing around the ballpark.
We are underway, and Phillips gets hit by the first pitch. It was a fastball at 86, up and in, and clipped him.
A very late effort to get out of the way there. Just a glancing blow off that front forearm to the chest of the home plate umpire Tim Welke, but Reds have a runner on after 1 pitch.
59 degrees last night, 58 tonight. Northwest wind at 8 miles an hour. Now Drew Stubbs. We had an interesting note about Drew Stubbs. Got to keep him from scoring in this series.
Yeah, he's a big part of their offense. The Reds are 46-6 when Drew Stubbs scores a run in the ballgame.
Breaking ball for strike. Reds have been just okay lately. 5-5 over their last 10. But their magic number to win the division is down to 5 with over 2 weeks to go. So they're going to clinch soon, as Phillips will get second on a wild pitch. So he's in scoring position and they don't have a hit.
Well, the thing about the Reds, even though they've sputtered a little bit lately, they were 30 games over 500 when they started sputtering. So yeah, a lot of cushion to work with. I don't think anybody's panicking in that first base dugout. As I mentioned in the open of the show, offensively, they've hit into a lot of tough luck lately, grounded into a lot of double plays lately.
Want to note right off the top, congrats to former Cub manager Dusty Baker tonight, managing his 3,000th big league game. 648 of those games were with the Cubs. This is number 796 with Cincinnati. One got away from Clevenger.
That's a lot of Tylenol right there. A lot of headaches, a lot of antacids.
He's one of 4 managers ever to pile up at least 1,500 hits as a player and pile up 1,500 wins as a manager. Fred Clark, Lou Piniella, Joe Torre, the other 3. Called strike 3. Stubbs is gone. That's the first out.
Comeback sinker, close enough to the outside corner to get the call. Just that little bit of late movement. Stubbs is familiar with that punch out. He has done it a boatload this year. That was strikeout number 147.
Joey Votto came back in early September. The Reds, well, he was on the DL, went 32-16. That was the best record in the majors during that stretch. Their lead in the division went from 1 to 8.5 without their best player. A lot of other guys stepped up. Ludwig, Frazier in particular. Still trying to get his timing back. So he's just not totally himself just yet. He had left knee surgery on July 17th. A cleanup procedure on August 10th. Phillips takes off for third, and he's out. Steve Clevenger gets Brandon Phillips 2 down.
Phillips thought he had enough of a walking lead out there at second base, but with a left-handed hitting Joey Votto at the plate, that gave Steve Clevenger a clean throw down there. Very close. Looked like Phillips may have gotten a hand on the bag before the tag. But the Cubs will gladly take that call down there at third base. We have one shot of Justin Germano when Phillips was on first base, and you could see him trying to time his walking lead and take off for second base. A wild pitch made that unnecessary, but in his attempt to steal third, he's gunned down.
And with Votto back in the lineup, they've got one of the best bench guys in baseball, and Todd Frazier. And Scott Rowland's dealt with some back issues lately. You've got Ryan Ludwig in left, Votto at first. If there's any sort of injury or prolonged slump, Dusty can insert a Rookie of the Year candidate in any of those spots. Nice luxury to have.
Well, I don't care who you compare to him. Scott Rowland is a superior defender at third base.
No question. That's a gapper for Joey Votto. He has been a doubles machine. 39 on the year. Before he got hurt, he was on pace for 66, which would have been one short of the major league record.
Stays back on the curveball, drives it to the opposite field. Very solid fundamental hitter is Joey Votto. His weight is always balanced. He lets that ball get deep into the hitting zone, drive it to any part of the ballpark with authority. He's a good hitter. That's all there is to it. Look at his head right down the bat. You know, that being said about Scott Rowland being the superior defender at third base, there are a lot of people in Cincinnati that would like to see Todd Frazier get more starts down there because of his bat. He is definitely an offensive threat.
And he's hit 500 against the Cubs, so I don't think they're too unhappy he's out of the lineup. Ludwig, meanwhile, has 5 homers against the Cubs in 11 games this season. Oh, 2. Swing and a miss to end the inning. Hit batter, wild pitch, caught stealing. A double and 2 strikeouts. A lot going on, even though the Reds didn't score. Cubs coming up. Rough night last night as they were shut out on 2 hits by Kevin Correa and company of the Pirates. New team in town. DeJesus, Valbuena, Rizzo at the top. Soriano, Castro, and Clevenger in the middle. Jackson, Barney, who had both hits last night, and Germano at the bottom.
Well, the Braves and the Diamondbacks have made fewer errors than the Reds this season. Here's how they'll line it up defensively. Ryan Ludwig in left, Drew Stubbs in center, Jay Bruce over in right field. Be Scott Rowland, Wilson Valdez, Brandon Phillips, and Todd Frazier. Third to first across the infield. Ryan Hannigan has been on a real nice roll, both offensively and defensively. He'll be behind the plate for right-hander David DeWitt Bailey, otherwise known as Homer.
Where's he from?
Well, there's a rumor spreading around about that Texas town.
LaGrange, Texas, his hometown. 1-0 on David DeJesus. 3 hits away from 1,200 for his career. Yeah, Bailey has quietly put together a really good year. 11-9 with a 3.93 ERA, but only Johnny Cueto has more quality starts on their staff. And if Bailey gets one tonight, he would tie Cueto with 20 such starts. Could have a better record. 6 times he's been the victim of a blown save. Well, the 2 best records in baseball belong to the Washington Nationals and the Cincinnati Reds. Reds are a game and a half behind the Nationals for the top spot in the NL, which would mean home field advantage throughout the NL playoffs. But the one common thread, you just start with the starting pitching. We know about Strasburg and Gonzalez, Zimmerman and Jackson and Detweiler in Washington. Well, aside from the doubleheader against the Cubs, in which they had to use a 6th starter, it's the only time the top 5 haven't pitched. And that consistency has meant a lot to this team.
And they pitch deep into ball games. The Reds have used their bullpen less than any other team in the National League this year.
Jesus went around. That's strike 3.
Of course, anytime you see numbers like that from a pitching staff, I point to the guy behind the plate. Reds pitching staff has thrown 10 shutouts this year. Ryan Hannigan has caught all 10 of them. They have 8 complete games, and he's caught 5 of those.
Dale would like to see a better approach from his offense tonight. He used the term both teams last night offensively. The Pirates and Cubs seem to be sleepwalking. That would make sense considering how late the game was, but I was talking to him before the game. He correctly pointed out there weren't many balls squared up last night.
No. Starling Marte's triple down into the left field corner was hit hard. Darwin Barney hit a line drive into right field for one of his 2 base hits, but that was about it.
Bounced up there to Valbuena, 2-1. So when I say the magic number for the Reds is 5, that's a combination of Reds wins and Cardinal losses for them to clinch the division. And of course the Cardinals come here on Friday for the weekend. It is altogether possible by the end of this week the Reds will have clinched their 2nd NL Central championship in 3 years. 3-2. I guess the best way to put it is the Cubs wouldn't mind helping the Reds clinch the division, but they'd like to do it by beating the Cardinals this weekend.
That's right.
Not by losing to the Reds in this series. Left field, that will drop foul.
Well, we know one thing about Homer Bailey. He's glad to be wearing the gray uniform tonight. He's been much, much better on the road this year. Record standing at 7-2 with a 2.75 ERA. He's given up 5 home runs on the road at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. 4-7 with a 5.05 and 19 home runs allowed.
All 4. That's the other remarkable thing about the Reds pitching staff, not just their starters, but their relievers. They put up really excellent numbers, and they pitch half their games in one of the best offensive parks in baseball. Anthony Rizzo with 1 on, 1 out. Takes it low for ball 1. What time did you get to bed last night? You know you had a few visitors after the game, right?
Yeah, all the fans that you invited over to my place stopped by. We had to split 1 beer. That's all I had left in the refrigerator. I probably crawled in bed around 2:15, but then, you know, the old habits. I always feel like I have to flip channels for an hour or 2 after I get into bed at night, so it was probably a good 3:30 or 4 in the morning before I finally shut it down completely.
I think we'll be talking about just the whole night, not necessarily the actual game, but the delay and what time we ended. We'll be talking about that one for a while. The other one that comes to mind was the night Greg Maddux picked up his 3,000th strikeout against the Giants. 05 maybe 06. A long rain delay. Pretty much everybody hung around that night. Now straight back 1-2.
Speaking of Greg Maddux, on this date in baseball history, he broke Cy Young's major league record by getting his 13th win for the 20th consecutive season. Unfortunately, his streak of not issuing a base on balls for 59 2/3 came to an end in that ball game on this day in baseball history.
Anytime you can do anything Cy Young once did on the pitcher's mound, that's a great compliment. Bounce to first. Votto to Valdez to Votto. 3-6-3 to end the inning. After 1, we are scoreless from Wrigley. Behind the scenes of the legendary home of the Chicago Cubs with Wrigley Field Tours. Take a trolley to get to Wrigley Field for your tour, as Chicago Trolley Company now provides transportation to Wrigley Field through its North Side Neighborhood Tour. Justin Germano had a quick cup of coffee with the big league Reds. Facing his former team. That was back in 2006. 2 games, 1 start. Ball 1 to Jay Bruce. And together a big year, but he's just 2 for his last 27. Two and 0. On the ground, boy, you love that as a pitcher. 2-0 to a guy with 33 home runs, and he rolls over to second base.
That's a gift for any pitcher when you fall behind, especially a home run hitter can get this kind of a swing and this kind of result. Take that all night long. You hate to be in those 2-0 counts, but if a hitter's going to get himself out that easily, you love it.
Strike on Scott Rowland. Had some back issues this season. It's 5 starts recently. DL time this year due to what? We know, right? The strained left shoulder. Well, that shoulder has given him so many problems over the course of his career.
And the issue you have with Scott Rowland, as far as like I mentioned earlier with Todd Frazier, at this stage of his career, a superior offensive player, but Scott Rowland's such a good defender. Well, you might say, why not start Todd Frazier at third every day? Bring Scott Rowland in for defense late if you have a lead. Well, that's tough to do with a veteran player that has the injury history that Scott Rowland does. It takes a lot of preparation for him to get ready and go out and start a ball game. It'd be much tougher to do if you bring him in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning of a close game.
The other thing is, when he's been healthy, he's hit over 300 in the second half as he draws the 1-out walk. And usually this time of year for a team like the Reds, the veteran guys usually get more playing time. The catcher, Ryan Hannigan, want to send out a happy birthday wish to Andy Rohn. Looks for the Chicago Blackhawks, and hopefully having a great birthday today. Called strike on the outside corner. Hannigan red hot. 343 over his last 25 games with 12 walks.
I mentioned he's been hot behind the plate lately too. He's thrown out 19 of the last 35 attempted base stealers. That's 54%. And he's a guy Dusty likes to use to play hit and run. I don't think they'll do it with Scott Rowland as the runner at first base, but Hannigan really handles that bat well. Likes to shoot the ball the other way most of the time anyhow. Might as well get the runner in motion, open that hole up even a little bit wider.
Missed everything. Second wild pitch of the night already for Germano. We've talked about different pitches and what catchers expect. You're not expecting fastballs to be way out in that spot, right? Breaking balls you're more prepared for.
Well, fastballs, you would always assume that a major league pitcher is going to get it somewhere close to his target. He might miss a few inches one direction or the other, up or down, but when you throw a fastball from one side of the plate to the other, it's going to be tough to corral it back there. It just gets there too quickly. You're not anticipating it.
Soriano will make the catch for the out. He said after the game last night he could hear every conversation out in the bleachers. Fans talking on their phones, talking to him. A unique circumstance.
And once again, a tip of the cap to those fans who stuck around all night. Wasn't a great evening here at Wrigley. Very damp, very cold. Wind was blowing in off the lake. Got colder as the game went on, but Hardy Cub fans stuck around.
That's right. I think we're going to see Zach Cozart in this series. He's missed the last 11 games with a strained oblique. So Valdez in there tonight. And on the hands and fouled into the upper deck. 0-2. And as we get into mid to late September, especially here in the Midwest, as a manager, Dusty's got to think about the weather conditions for an oblique injury or a back. Temperatures get down into the upper 40s here late tonight. That can cause some issues and some extra stiffness.
Yeah, obviously you get a little more concerned with it when you're in the position that the Reds are. We mentioned at the top of the show they should comfortably cruise to the division title, and now's when you'd like to just try to keep everybody healthy, make sure everybody gets the at bats they need to stay sharp, the pitchers get the innings pitched they need to be ready for the postseason, but don't overtax anybody, don't put anybody in a situation that could endanger their health for the postseason.
He's talking with Chris Spire, Dusty's bench coach, former Cub coach, and talking about that very issue of just trying to peak at the right time, trying to get everything moving on all cylinders going into the playoffs. It's not an easy thing to do, especially if you clinch really early. You've got the expanded rosters. You want to give your guys some rest. Joey Votto needs a bat, so he's probably going to play every day no matter what the stakes are. But you don't want guys like Scott Rowland to be overtaxed and get hurt. I think what we found, Bob, is that you can win 10 in a row going into the playoffs. You can lose 10 in a row, and it doesn't always matter. That momentum is a tricky thing.
It really is. Can't define it, can't put your finger on when it happens or why it happens. You just hope it happens to your team at the right time.
Left field in trouble. Foul by about a foot, if that. Would have given the Reds the lead. I think the number one thing along these lines, though, is just health. Just make sure you're as healthy as you can be going into the postseason. And aside from that, try to line up your rotation the way you would like, and then go get them.
And the Reds are really trying to put a positive spin on the shutdown of Aroldis Chapman. They'd like to think that with some time off, some rest and rehab, that he'll come back as good as ever at just the right time.
He did throw a flat ground today. I think he's going to throw a bullpen coming up tomorrow. Chopped. Valbuena will cut it off, and that'll end the inning. Midway in the second, early on, no score.
The Sheraton Chicago Hotel and Towers on January 18th, 19th, and 20th, 2013. Rooms will be available starting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. by calling the Sheraton at 800-233-4100 and asking for the Cubs convention rate. Weekend passes will go on sale at a later date. For more information, as always, visit Cubs.com.
And coming up later, it is, by the way, Firefighter Appreciation Night. Firefighters from Engine 78 right across the street on Waveland will be conducting the 7th inning stretch. Soriano, Castro, and Clevenger against Homer Bailey in the Cubs' second. Talked about Reds right-hander from LaGrange, Texas, grew up on a farm. 40 acres, 70,000 chickens. Loves being outside. So he never played video games or sat inside and watched TV. He wasn't playing baseball. He was out in the woods. Was looking at Homer Bailey's bio. There's a decent chance Keith Moreland has spoken to Homer Bailey, but I have a feeling they could probably talk about hunting and all things Texas for like 4 straight hours.
And not need a translator. Right. Unlike when we talk to Zone.
Soriano striking out. Now it's Starlin. 1 out, nobody on. Five for 15 with 2 career homers against Bailey. Slider in the dirt. Get a new baseball. 2-0.
Interesting little move there by the Reds defense. All the players, as the new ball was thrown into play, were just kind of wandering around at their positions. But when the count goes to 2-0, everybody plays a couple steps more to pull. It's an aggressive hitters count. They figure that the batter's going to get the barrel out there in front of home plate. So Joey Votto, Brandon Phillips on the right side took 2 or 3 steps to their right. Wilson Valdez moved a couple steps closer to the hole between third and short.
2-2. Right where Hannigan wanted it. Tail on the fastball. They got in on Castro and he couldn't do much with it other than foul it off. Have you ever hunted wild boar? Homer Bailey has.
If I'm not mistaken, they have a wild boar infestation down in parts of Texas. They've just multiplied at such a rate that they're out of control, eating crops and invading farms.
See Has a collection of wild boar tusks. Popped into shallow right, and it's going to be Phillips from second base to make the grab. 2 outs.
Well, then we were talking about the way the Reds defense shifted to their right on the 2-0 count. This is the pitch that runs it to 2-0 right there. Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto, Wilson Valdez, all just kind of wandering around, but before the next pitch was delivered, they had all moved at least 2 steps to their right. You have a straight up defensive position when a guy comes to the plate, but depending on the count, you may cheat a step or two one direction or the other. Well, in those aggressive hitters counts, the defenders are going to play more to the pull side.
Good catch. Clevenger in there tonight. And Bailey's 1-1 is low. Can't even imagine what time the Pirates all got to their homes this morning, but they're playing again tonight and trail the Brewers 1-0 in the bottom of the 5th. They are both 2.5 games behind St. Louis, a game and a half behind the Dodgers. Cardinals right now have the second wild card spot as Votto will tag the bag. And that ends the inning. We head off to the 3rd. Cubs nothing, Reds nothing. Sportsnet. Tune in as the Bears linebacker breaks down all the grisly details with Bears analyst and 85 Super Bowl champion Tom Thayer and CSN's Pat Boyle. The Lance Briggs Show, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, tonight at 11 only on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend and NFL Films president Steve Sabol passed away at the age of 69 due to brain cancer. A true pioneer of sports broadcasting. Some of his innovations include super slow-mo replays, microphones on the sidelines, low-angle handheld cameras on the field, blooper reels, and of course the hiring of John Facenda, the voice of God. And phrases like the frozen tundra or the autumn wind is a pirate blustering in from sea.
I'm a big fan of that super slow-mo. It works in any sport. We love it in baseball.
Homer Bailey into the right field corner, and it's twisting out of play. Nice catch by a fan.
Not nearly as much wind as we had here at Wrigley Field last night as the storms blew through a couple of different times, but just enough wind to push that one foul down the right field line.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. Third strikeout for Germano.
Phillips taking a little bit extra time here, giving Homer Bailey a chance to get back there and fight for a seat in that overcrowded Reds dugout on the first base side.
Now, wouldn't the starting pitcher have priority, or is it once he vacates a seat, it's anybody's?
You always make room for the starting pitcher. He always has a seat, a towel, a cool drink, jacket ready. On the day he pitches. The rest of the week, beat it.
Breaking ball.
I think one of the keys for Germano every night, but especially against this Reds lineup, is his ability to change speeds on that curveball. He's not going to overpower anybody with his fastball, so add a little, take a little off that curveball just to make sure that they don't turn around and sit on your off-speed pitches. I think the Reds are well aware they're not going to get a lot of hittable fastballs from Justin Germano tonight. Maybe around the corners, they may be elevated above the top of the strike zone, but they're not going to get a lot of fastballs in the heart of the plate. So it wouldn't be unusual to see a veteran hitting group like the Reds go up to the plate and start to look for that breaking pitch. And that's when it becomes important that Germano's not only able to command it, but change speeds.
Curve was up, but Phillips flies out to DeJesus.
Hey, if you want to wear what the Cubs are wearing, you can text HOME to 88019 right now for your chance to win an authentic game-worn jersey from the Cubs. And be sure to go to Cubs.com/authentics for more authentic Cubs memorabilia.
Stubbs caught looking in the first. Shot base hit that bounces right in front of Soriano. Well, that rocket, we don't have video of it. It happened as the Reds were taking batting practice today, but Henry Rodriguez, September call-up, an infielder, was taking ground balls at third, and I guess took one in the midsection and tumbled to the dirt. The Reds training staff came out quickly to check on him. BP stopped momentarily, but when it appeared he was generally going to be okay, they took one of the screens, put it right in front of the group, kept on hitting.
Yeah. Show must go on. Visiting team only has 45 minutes for batting practice when you're on the road, and you want to maximize every minute, especially in September when you've got more guys to hit in that 45-minute time period.
And be hit.
Yeah.
Votto to center. Jackson back to the warning track, and he's got it right in front of the 400 marker to end the inning. Votto comes up just short, and we remain 0-0 in the third. The Cardinals this upcoming Friday afternoon at Wrigley Field. Game time is 1:20, but that's p.m. by the way. But be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 adults 21 and older will receive a Cubs t-shirt, compliments of Budweiser. For more information and to purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com.
Yeah, after that game last night, you have to be much more specific when you give times.
Rookie center fielder Brett Jackson. Nice running catch on the warning track to retire Votto, and he takes a strike from Bailey. Jackson has faced Bailey before. He's 0 for 3 as he lines that one foul. 0-2. Swing and a miss on a high fastball. Third strikeout for Bailey. Darwin Barney coming up for the first time. A great stretch offensively. His season really has been about the glove, and he's trying to unseat Brandon Phillips, who's won 3 of the last 4 Gold Gloves at second base in the National League. Barney leads all major league second basemen in fielding percentage and in an advanced stat that Fangraphs uses called ultimate zone rating per 150 games. Number of runs above or below average a fielder is per 150 games. As Barney has the last Cub 3 hits, 2 last night and their first one tonight.
And not only does Darwin Barney lead Brandon Phillips in the advanced metrics, but in the good old-fashioned putouts, he leads 282 to 221. In assists, he leads 384 to 360, and in double plays, 78 to 62.
Working on a National League record, 132 consecutive games without an error at second, and now a 13-game hitting streak. A career high. Germano will try to get him to second. Rolling way in at third. Bailey will pick it up and doesn't even look at second. We'll go 1 to 4 on the sack. With 2 outs, it's to Jesus.
Cubs rolling through the lineup now. Players are going to get their second plate appearance against Homer Bailey, and that's usually when he runs into some issues. He generally starts well. He's held opponents to a .233 batting average in their first plate appearance, but in the second plate appearance it jumps up to .312. In the third plate appearance, .272.
Series starting in Detroit tonight. The Tigers lead the A's 5-1 in the 6th. Detroit 3 back of the White Sox in the Central. Oakland 3 back of Texas in the West. Currently the wild card leader in the AL. Sox are trailing at Kansas City 2-1 in the 4th. Two and one. Mike Leake versus lefty Chris Russin tomorrow night on CSN, and then Thursday afternoon Johnny Cueto, Cy Young contender, against right-hander Jason Birkin. Again, keep it tuned to CSN all week here for Cubs baseball. We'll have the opener against the Cardinals too on Friday. Chris Carpenter will make his season debut. It's full 3-2. Valbuena would hit next. Bob, was there ever any advantage in your mind as a catcher or as a hitter, just going out and talking to the pitcher just to make the batter think? Is there always a reason you go out there?
Oh, no. Sometimes you have to make up a reason on your way out there, but you just feel it. You can just feel the rhythm of the game, or the pitcher's taking a little bit too long between pitches, or he's rushing his pitches a little bit, and you just want to get him back into a good rhythm.
Check foul. I know sometimes, doubles when you're playing tennis, you just talk to your partner just because you want the other side to think you're discussing strategy when you're really just talking, making something up. You just want to plant some other seed of doubt, I guess.
Oh, especially on a 3-2 count with a runner in scoring position early in a 0-0 ball game. Absolutely. And especially if you have a guy at the plate that you know from past experience is a thinking man's hitter. He's thinking the sequence. What pitches have I seen in this at bat? What's he likely to do on this 3-2 pitch? And as a catcher, if you think, well, geez, this guy, he might be just about due to hit one hard somewhere. Yeah, I'm going to go out there and talk it over with my pitcher. What do you think right here? I'm thinking maybe we go hard slider down and in. You got a better idea? All right, let's go get it. But then when you have a thinking hitter, now he's trying to guess what you were talking about.
What are they talking about?
Yeah, what are they talking about out there?
Another 3-2 pitch. Jesus punches this one into the upper deck, foul.
And then you have other hitters in the box. You could ask them, what was that last pitch that you just swung at? I don't know. It was close to the zone, so I swung at it. Well, was it a breaking ball or fastball? I don't know. They just see ball, hit ball. Those are the kind of guys you don't try to get into their head. That's a bad place to be. That's why so many pitchers that go out on rehab assignments to the minor league level, especially the low minors, they hate it. They all come back saying you can't set those guys up. They just swing at what they see. That's why it's also fun to go to a minor league game when there's a professional hitter, a big league hitter on a rehab assignment, and watch how he sets up opposing pitchers.
Deep to left. Ludwig, though, will catch it. Long at bat for De Jesus, but on the 10th pitch, Bailey gets him.
By the new Doritos Locos Tacos from Taco Bell.
Time to salute our Menards grounds crew. We thought we had a long day yesterday. How about those guys? They stayed here long after the ball game was over last night, getting the field ready for the ball game today, and as usual, it looks beautiful.
Host your guests in luxury in the Budweiser Bleachers. The Budweiser Bleachers Suite features a sports bar atmosphere with new TVs, bar-style tables, and windows that open to give you the atmosphere of the bleachers in your own private room. The suite can hold up to 100 guests and includes food, drinks, and parking. For more info, go to Cubs.com/suites or call 773-404-4200. Ludwig, Bruce, Roland. Pretty formidable middle of the order. 1 ball, 1 strike. This is going to be a challenge the next 6 games here at Wrigley Field. You see what Ludwig did against Germano back on August 10th. You got the Reds and Cardinals here to close out this long homestand. You look at the National League Central, some pretty good offenses. Brewers lead the National League in runs. The Cardinals are second. Kind of hard to believe the Reds are right now 8th. It seems low. They're middle of the pack currently. Think of the Reds as an offense first team, and then the pitching is what usually holds them back. This year it's the opposite. I don't even know if the offense is holding them back, but they're led by their pitching.
And we showed you that Ryan Ludwig August 10th home run against Justin Germano. That came on a low fastball out over the plate. That at bat, all breaking pitches.
Bruce way out in front. According to Alliance, Jay Bruce is the first player ever to hit at least 20 homers as a rookie and then improve on that total as he singles into right each of the next 4 years. 20 his first year, 21, 22, 25, 32, this year 33. Only 5 other players, Bob, have done that at any point in their career. Hack Wilson, Willie Stargell, Jim Thome, Derek Lee, and David Ortiz. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, it really is. And that's the kind of progress you expect from a good hitter. You know, you get your feet wet at the major league level, you hit some home runs, and then you learn a little bit more about opposing pitchers and how to pick your spots when to try to hit a home run, maybe when your team needs it the most. And you would expect those numbers to go up a little bit each year with more familiarity with the opposing pitchers.
RBI totals have gone up every year, and he's 1 RBI behind last year's total, so he'll surpass that. A little work to do with the walks, but possibly could have the walks go up every year. Takes off for second. Little bobble by Clevenger, and that costs him. Bruce gets his now career best 9 stolen base.
Yeah, 9 out of 11 attempts. You could see Scott Rowland was just going to take that pitch all the way. He thought Bruce had a good enough jump at first to steal that bag, and then when Steve Clevenger can't find the handle on the ball initially, it turns it into an easy stolen base. Yeah, that's a veteran hitter. Scott Rowland sees that Jay Bruce has a real good chance to steal that base. Even if that was a fastball right down the middle of the plate, he was going to take it all the way to let Bruce get into scoring position. Now he's going to go to work in this at bat. He's already behind in the count, 0-1. He takes that pitch right down the middle, but he'd rather hit with 2 strikes and a runner in scoring position.
And he pops it up. It'll be Anthony Rizzo, 2 down. We'll leave it up to Hannigan. A lot of bad weather out east. Dodgers and Nationals postponed. Phillies and Mets washed out. Blue Jays and Yankees postponed. That game was called really early today. Playing in Pittsburgh, and the Brewers have a 2-0 lead in the 7th. Pirates have 1 hit through 6 off Giovanni Gallardo.
In the past, we've seen Ryan Hannigan just give in and commit to trying to hit the ball to the right side with a runner in scoring position, especially with 2 outs. Steve Clevenger wants to go out and talk it over with Justin Germano. When you have a base open like this, the tendency is, well, we could pitch around this guy and possibly go after Wilson Valdez, the number 8 hitter in the lineup, with a force play at any base on the infield, so we don't really care if we walk him. Let's just throw everything outside. That'd be playing right into Ryan Hannigan's hands in this particular situation, because I believe he wants to hit that ball to right field. Kind of like Yadier Molina. Maybe it's a catcher thing. Put that runner out there in scoring position, and from being behind the plate and calling a game, they anticipate what the other team's going to try to do to them, and they try to short circuit that strategy.
You weren't that type of hitter.
No, I tried to hit everything right down the third baseline.
's always got a bat in his hands during BP, doesn't he? Three and 0.
That's in case you need to reinforce a point that you're trying to make with one of your players, or defend yourself against one of your players.
Funny, I don't know if I've seen him hit fungos.
You see him throw batting practice on a regular basis, but yeah,
it's just kind of his thing. The hitting coach, I guess. Hannigan is walked. Take a look around baseball on this Tuesday. Tim Hudson last night got his 15th win. 4 seasons of at least 15 wins. Matt Wieters of the Orioles, 3 hits, including a homer in their big win at Seattle. R.A. Dickey didn't win, but he has over 200 strikeouts this year. Barney will pick it up. Valdez out. Choice to work around Hannigan worked out nicely for Germano. They strand 2. Still 0-0.
Mobility trivia question. Who are the 4 players since 1900 to record their first 200 strikeout season after turning the age of 37?
Wow, that's a good one. Well, R.A. Dickey would make sense, right? We just mentioned it was the first of his career, so we're 25% of the way there, possibly. He suddenly becomes a power pitcher at 37. Well, should we stay with the knuckleball theme? One of the Negro brothers? I don't know.
The knuckleball never really was intended to be a strikeout pitch. Weak contact is what you generally get from a knuckleball.
You'd think Tim Wakefield, would you? Well, we'll find out. Buena hitting second tonight. First pitch swinging. Ludwig racing over, but it'll be Valdez's shortstop in foul territory for the out. Hey, one note on Dusty Baker's 3,000 big league games as a manager. 2,999 of them will have been either won or lost by his team. There was one tie. The Giants at the Braves on August 15th, 2002. 3-3 tie in 10 innings. Unless they change the rules, there will never be another tie in Major League history. They got rid of ties. It used to be. Played. Let's say we played 6 innings tonight in a 2-2 game, and then the game gets washed out. It would have gone past 5 innings. And the game's tied. The game ends. It would be made up, and you would have started over. So that's why there have been players who participated in 163 games. Now the rule is, if it's 2-2 after 6 and rain ends the night, the game is suspended and picked up later. That's probably the way it should.
Yeah, seems like the more reasonable way to do it.
Yeah. Rizzo draws the walk. Did you ever hit a home run in a game that never did get to 5 innings and was completely washed?
Not to the best of my knowledge, no. I don't recall ever doing that.
That's not ideal either. You hit a home run, but it doesn't count. It's hard enough to hit a home run, right?
Oh, wait a minute. Upon further consideration, I think I had about 400 of them. That would sting, man.
Strike on Soriano, who struck out swinging in the second. Dusty trying to do what 2 previous Reds managers have done. Lead the Reds to the playoffs more than one time. Bill McKechnie twice. Sparky Anderson did it 6 times. Davey Johnson, we'll say, did it 1.5 times. 95 counted. Now we get back into what counts, what doesn't. And they were in first when the 94 season ended. And the work stoppage, no World Series, so really technically that didn't count. Deep to right, but Jay Bruce will make the catch. Now I think about 94, Bob. Stats all counted, right? Wins and losses, home runs, batting averages. Wins and losses go on teams and managers' records, yet the Expos didn't get credit for winning the National League East, and the Reds didn't get credit for winning the Central. Go figure.
Makes my head hurt.
We had people asking us, we showed the other night, the batting average leaders. And he noted that Melky Cabrera is leading the National League. I'll have to look up exactly how many plate appearances short he is, but he still could qualify. We'll tell you how later. 0-0 after 4. Trivia question. 4 pitchers in a modern era with their first 200 strikeout season after turning 37.
Oh, they
there
are.
You go.
The knuckleballers. Yeah.
Charlie Huff, Phil Niekro, Cy Young.
Well, you were right on it, partner.
R.A. Dickey. I just, I think about Jamie Moyer and some other pitchers, and I just couldn't fathom their strikeout rate going up. I think the other thing about knuckleballers too is that, most of the time, if not all the time, you become a knuckleballer because it didn't work before. So it kind of salvages your career. So a lot of knuckleballers tend to develop late. So that might explain part of that. One quick out here in the 5th. So Melky Cabrera will end the year with 501 total plate appearances. By the end of the season, I think it's 3.1 plate appearances per team game, which is 162. That's 502 plate appearances. So some people wonder, okay, well, he's 1 plate appearance short. How can he qualify? Well, what they will do is they'll give him an 0 for 1 at the end of the season to get to 502, and he still can win it. And at this point, he's in the lead. Right to Barney. If you're in a Gold Glove battle with Brandon Phillips, you better make that play. Yeah, pretty routine for him. 2 outs.
Didn't that happen with Tony Gwynn during his playing career? One time he came up, I'm not sure how many plate appearances short of qualifying, but when you tacked on the 0 for whatever it was, he still led the league in hitting.
I joked the other night, we were talking about that. I gave him an 0 for 400 and he still won.
He still won, yeah.
Let's see. Find it. It was 96, 498 plate appearances at 353. Nice job by Germano. Very quick. 3 ground ball out. 1, 2, 3, 5th. Three hits for the Reds, one for the Cubs. Qdoba Mexican Grill, the official Mexican grill of the Cubs, and Wrigley Field would like to give you free chips and queso just for opting into their mobile club. Text Q1 to 50500 and you'll enjoy Qdoba's famous chips and queso. Steve Clevenger with a base hit. I was just going to say, without Darwin Barney, the Cubs would have been no hit last night and wouldn't have a hit tonight.
Center fielder number 7, Brett Jackson.
Swing and a miss by Jackson. Still looking for his first hit since returning to the lineup on Friday. Just about a week with a bruised right knee after that great catch on September 7th in Pittsburgh.
Talking with Dale Swain before the ball game about Homer Bailey, and the thing you hang your hat on his opposing lineup is he gives up a lot of home runs. He's surrendered 24 long balls this year. I mentioned the second and third time through the lineup he tends to make a few more mistakes, so just stay close. Hope that he makes some kind of a mistake at a key time in the ball game and somebody can lean on one. Wait, how about this Reds rotation, man? Mike Leake has given up 25. Matt Latos 24. Bailey and Arroyo both have given up 24. Only Johnny Cueto in the starting rotation has given up less than 24. Of course, a lot of that is due to their home ballpark.
Yep. It's going to hold up for Stubbs, and it'll send Clevenger back to first.
First two hitters here in the fifth, two line drives. Clevenger's fell for a base hit. Unfortunately, Jackson's hung up long enough for Drew Stubbs to come in and make the catch.
This is a tricky note to mention. I'm going to do it because it is our job to just pass along interesting pieces of information. But he has now gone 49 consecutive plate appearances without a strikeout. Longest current stretch in the majors. He has not struck out during his now 13-game hitting streak. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, way to go. You know what's going to happen. Usually gets the bat to the ball. Two and 0 on Barney. Germano, the pitcher, on deck.
Well, if that's all it took, Len, we would point out that he hasn't homered since August 13th.
There you go. See, that's a good way to do that. Thanks for bailing me out. Well, the other thing about the no strikeouts is that he has been walking. He's taken 5 on this homestand. He didn't strike out.
He didn't homer.
Yeah, didn't homer either, unfortunately. He hit it off Homer.
It's a new era here at Wrigley Field. Be part of it with Vineline, the official magazine of the Chicago Cubs. Vineline gives you insider access to the best of the Cubs, past, present, and future. Subscriptions start at just $29.95. To subscribe, visit Cubs.com/Vineline. You can also pick up the latest issue at the Cubs store across from Wrigley Field or at select newsstand locations.
Clevenger led off the inning with a single, but he has moved from first. Bruce in right, and that'll end the inning. Hit the ball hard in this inning. The Cubs lined out 3 times to end the inning after Clevenger singled. Still zeros. Tribune Live on Comcast Sportsnet. Tune in as the Tribune's Fred Mitchell and Casey Johnson, along with former Notre Dame quarterback Tony Rice, will join Cap to discuss the day's hottest sports topics and set the table for the night ahead. Chicago Tribune Live, presented by Smirnoff, tomorrow at 5:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
The weather's always right for pizza. Oh, yeah.
Keeping score while eating pizza.
I had to give up one of those. I know which one it would be.
Joey Votto to lead off for the Reds. Cubs can't complain about the starting pitching they've gotten since Jeff Samardzija was shut down over a week ago. Some unproven names in this rotation, but for the most part they've given their team a chance to win. Tonight Germano doing that. A scoreless tie against Homer Bailey. Curve under 70 miles an hour for a strike. Joey Votto not real happy with that particular pitch, swing, and result. We're going to show you the replay without the audio.
Thank you. What was that stat we heard a couple weeks ago that Joey Votto had only popped up to the infield 4 times?
Crazy.
Maybe a little more than that now, but that's just ridiculous. Of course, then you think back to the games that Joey Votto's played against the Cubs over the last few years. I don't remember hitting anything but line drives.
Yeah. Now see, he came in at 338, but with only 415 plate appearances. So he's going to come up way short, I believe, in that department. Qualifying for the batting title.
Roll it around just a little bit more, Joe. You could see at the barrel of his bat where he had made contact with the ball.
Takes a walk.
Now, there are stories told about Ted Williams that if you looked at his bat at the end of a series or at the end of a season, there you see the ball marks up near the barrel of the bat. That Ted Williams only had one mark, that he barreled the ball up on the same spot of the bat for weeks at a time. For most hitters, you'll see one out near the end of the bat. You'll see one right above your hands. You'll see a couple down near the trademark and a few right on the barrel of the bat where you hit it really well. Joey Votto's were pretty concentrated up there near the sweet spot of the bat, but they tell stories about Ted Williams only having one mark on his bat. Could be an urban legend, but I'd like to believe it.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem possible.
They said Ted Williams could read the label of a record while it was going around on a turntable.
A 78.
Yeah.
Right?
Really fast. But he wouldn't go to movies in the afternoon before a night game because it felt it made his eyes tired. He wanted to be ready to go when the lights at the stadium came on. Told the story in the past about Pete Rose in his playing days used to take an alcohol soaked towel and clean his bat after every ball game, so he would know exactly where he made contact every at bat of the next game. Then after squaring up 4 line drives in the game, he'd clean the barrel again with an alcohol rag and be ready to go again the next day.
Three and 1 on Ludwig. By the way, going back to that swing and miss by Votto, it tells you how great a hitter he is. He looked foolish on a curveball to go to 1 and 2, but circled. Catcher and the umpire forgot about it. Ended up taking a leadoff walk. Could be a pretty significant play here in this game.
Getting back to Pete Rose, some of us found less productive ways to use alcohol after ball games.
Yeah. Some of us still do. Otto not running as Ludwig lofts it foul. Germanos walked back-to-back guys to start this inning. Bring up Jay Bruce. Spazio will come out. New in 2012 is Cubs Authentics, the premier outlet for special MLB authenticated Cubs memorabilia. For game used baseballs, bases, and jerseys to autographed bats and photos, Cubs Authentics has the most exclusive Cubs memorabilia. Visit the Wrigley Field Concourse, the Cubs store, or email CubsAuthentics@Cubs.com for all your Cubs memorabilia needs.
So, for example, if you were looking for a Cubs home hat,
that's where I'd go.
That's where you'd need to go. A road jersey.
It's a Cubs jersey.
That'd be right there.
Yep.
Now those you have to earn, probably.
One and one. Germano in some trouble here, really for the first time tonight. 2 on with nobody out.
You love that ground ball double play, and even though Jay Bruce did ground out to Darwin Barney in his first at bat of the game, he's only grounded into 4 double plays all season. He's very much a fly ball hitter. Boy, and they're really eyeballing Justin Germano now. A lot of those breaking pitches they were flailing at the first time through the order, they're seeing them much better out of his hands. Yeah, sometimes it's not so much that the pitcher loses effectiveness on the mound, it's that the opposing offense has a better approach to him in the second and third time through the lineup.
Three and two. See if Dusty has his guys on the move here. Probably not, though. Nobody out. This is a strikeout candidate. Well, Germano not a big strikeout pitcher, just got a piece of the high fastball.
Very tough for Joey Votto to get much of a lead out there at second, with Starlin Castro playing right behind the bag with the shift on the infield. Can't get the same kind of walking lead or primary lead that you'd like to get out there at second base if you were going to try to steal third.
This one didn't get it. They're loaded. Germano will be pulled in a 0-0 tie, but the Reds have him loaded with no outs in the 6th. Scheduled hitter is Scott Rowland. Manny Corpus will face him. It's the Honda call to the pen, and we'll be back. And after Justin Germano walked the bases loaded to start this 6th inning. Dale Swain going to his bullpen, and it's Manny Corpus.
Boy, at this point, just looking to limit the damage here. Bases loaded, nobody out. Love to get an infield pop-up or a strikeout for out number 1 and then look for that ground ball double play. But the reality is, if you can escape giving up 1 in this situation, you'd be really happy with that.
Runners are going to hold. Boy, Votto thought about it, stopped, thought about it, stopped.
Think long, you think wrong. Nobody out in the inning. You've got to be really sure you can get on that dish.
AT&T U-verse multi-view. Votto, Ludwig, Bruce all walking against the starter Germano. Oh, 0-2 to Roland. Terribly deep. Brett Jackson coming in. Votto tagging. He's going to stop. Always big to get that first out. Now Corpus is a ground ball away from getting out of it completely.
Shallow fly ball just to the right of straightaway center. Jackson gets to it in good shape. Votto bluffed down the line at third, but Jackson got rid of it quickly, and all you can do as a runner is read how quickly that guy gets rid of the ball. You can't read the line from third base, so Votto has to slam on the brakes and retreat once again.
Ryan Hannigan only hit into 5 double plays, but he does hit a lot of ground balls. Not this time. That is trouble. Here comes Votto. Ludwig. Bruce. 3 runs in on the double by Ryan Hannigan. With one swing of the bat, the Reds lead 3-0.
I talked about Hannigan and his willingness to hit the ball to the opposite field with runners in scoring position, but this is a drive to right center field. He didn't try to guide that ball to the opposite field. He tried to hit it over the center field wall. Ends up tailing away from Brett Jackson into the gap, clearing the bases.
All 3 runs charged to Germano. Hannigan will move to third as Valdez grounds out to Castro. Now Homer Bailey with a 3-0 lead. He'll hit for the 3rd time. Little floater. And a basket grab by Barney. 3-run double, Ryan Hannigan. And the Reds lead 3-0. We'll go now to RBIs, and Alfonso Soriano has a chance to lead the National League. He's 3 behind Chase Headley. Ryan Braun very much in the mix, and you have Jay Bruce and Matt Holliday as well. Wouldn't that be something if Soriano could lead the league? Now the American League, Cabrera and Hamilton have each driven in 123. One of the most underrated offensive players in the game, Josh Willingham, with 105, and Edwin Encarnacion with 102, and Prince Fielder with 98 driven in. Starlin Castro with a career high 75, but pretty good lead for Soriano in terms of the Cubs hitters. So the Cubs are down 3-0. They lost to the Pirates 3-0 last night. Rainbow to left. And Brian Ludwig makes the play for the out. Strike to Valbuena. Bailey looking to go 3-0 against the Cubs this season. 2 wins and a no decision coming in. Working quickly here.
And look how quickly Ryan Hannigan is getting the ball back to his pitcher. Now has the lead. Wants to keep him in that good, quick rhythm. Don't give him too much time to think out there on the mound. Just little head gestures and little body language. Use your glove, use your bare hand, nod your head one direction or the other behind the plate. Offer a little encouragement, maybe even a little instruction just with your body language.
They both look very much in tune with one another right now. Phillips to Votto, 2 outs. Body language does mean something, doesn't it? Back of the plate. Your job is to exude. I know we're fine. I'm taking care of you. We're good.
You see a lot of catchers do it after receiving a pitch, even if it's a called ball. If it's the pitch that the catcher was looking for, they'll hold their glove up or pound their fist in the mitt. Good pitch, even though it wasn't a strike. That's right where I wanted it. You're okay. Come on now. Nodding his head right there, even though it was not a strike. They wanted to start Anthony Rizzo with a fastball up and in, probably to set up the rest of the pitches in this at bat.
Bob, I talked to a scout today who told me the following story.
Okay.
He saw Rizzo last year, I think at AAA, maybe even the big leagues. And he said he went a combined 0 for 11. Saw him at Iowa this year. And he had gone, I think, 0 for 7 or 0 for 8 in a couple of games. And then another game, He was 0 for 2, got pulled from the game, and was promoted to the big leagues. He said, every at bat I saw Anthony Rizzo take before he became a Chicago Cub, he was 0 for 21.
But that being said, I'm sure he filed a report with his organization. Acquire this guy if you can.
No, he's very impressed with what Rizzo has done. He just never saw him get a hit before he put on a Cub uniform, and that's, you know, one of the problems with scouting. It's sometimes when you see a guy, not who you see. Bailey with the shutdown inning. 1, 2, 3 go the Cubs in the 6th. Off to the 7th, 3-0 Reds. For our Coors Light freeze, Cam. Opening inning. And Phillips out at third.
Yeah, we thought the Cubs may have gotten a break there, but that freeze frame right there shows Phillips' hand not quite on the bag as Valbuena slapped the tag on his forearm.
Phillips, Stubbs, Votto. Phillips hit third a bunch with Votto on the disabled list. That leadoff spot tonight is flies to DeJesus, 1 out. Captain Morgan's 7th inning stretch coming up. Firefighters from engine 78 will conduct the stretch. Lieutenant John P. Joyce with the Chicago Fire Department here with his son Anthony, wishing the firefighters of engine 35, truck 28 a Cubs win. Swing and a miss. Greg Nagarian is here looking for a Cubs win as well. Will be just wide of first. Brewers leading the Pirates 6-0 in the bottom of the 8th. Out hitting them 12-2. 12-2 is the score in Detroit. Miguel Cabrera's hit 2 homers to give him 40 on the year. Prince Fielder with his 27th. Johnny Peralta number 12. 12-2 Tigers over the A's. The White Sox with 3 home runs tonight. De Aza, Rios, Beckham. They have a 3-2 lead in the 8th at Kansas City. Trying to maintain their 3-game lead over Detroit. Barney makes a catch, 2 outs. So the White Sox and Tigers, and then everybody else. Although the Royals play both teams here coming up. They're playing the White Sox right now. So they'll certainly have something to say about it.
You'd say the Tigers game was 12-2.
12-2.
They should be able to hang on to that one. They've had 8 losses this year when they've had the lead from the 8th inning or later after not having 1 loss in that situation last year.
So 3-game series for the Royals versus the White Sox currently. And they have 7 more against Detroit. Kansas City's gone 10-5 against the White Sox. 4-7 versus the Tigers. 1-2. Fouled away by Votto. A lot of offense the last 2 nights. 5 hits for the Pirates last night, 4 for the Reds tonight. Cubs without a run in either. Stretch time.
Take me out to the ball game. Firefighters from Engine 78.
And police officers who gave the ultimate sacrifice. So let me hear you. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and cracker jacks. I don't care if I ever get back for his root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs.
And it's been here. Current firehouse built in 1915. Wrigley Field was built in 1914. Great to have with us Lieutenant John Sampson, firefighter for what, 33 years, huh?
Well, going on 33, yeah.
Wow. Great job with the stretch, first of all.
We practiced.
It shows. And thank you for all that you do. Wow, what a job.
Now, John, on a normal night, if you were over at the station, can you hear the fans singing the 7th inning stretch outside?
Yeah, you hear everything.
Okay.
And a lot of people ask, I said, do you ever go into the games? And I says, why? I says, we got high def right here, and we got surround sound. Everything is loud. It's really nice.
Cubs trailing 3-0. Got to get some offense going here as Soriano faces Homer Bailey, who's gone the distance to this point. And Soriano strikes out. So a lot of great Cub connections being right across the street.
Yeah.
Got to have a couple of really good Cubs stories for us.
Well, probably the biggest one was Ernie Banks. Probably it was, I believe, 81-82. My officer, John Kelly, Yosh comes over to the firehouse, and they had the old timers games going on back then. And Yosh says, I need a black belt. I need a black belt. And my officer looks at me, and I'm minding my own business, scrubbing out the firehouse. And he says, give me your belt. I go, I'm not giving my belt. And he says, I want to see Ernie before I give anybody my belt. So Ernie comes over and says, can I use the belt? I says, oh, sure. And I took off the belt, gave it to Ernie. That was it, 31 years ago. Still looking for the belt, Ernie. If you're around and you hear this.
We will mention it to him, yeah.
Well, it's been quite a family affair for you, John, right?
Yeah,
I mean, personally, your father and brother. And
my father, he's deceased now, but he's a retired captain, Chicago Fire Department. My brother Kevin's a lieutenant on Truck 56, and my brother Jimmy is on a duty disability because of medical reasons and stuff. But yeah, big fire department family. You know.
Here's Steve Clevenger. And a nice touch as you dedicated the stretch tonight to all those firefighters and police officers who've sacrificed their lives in the line of duty.
There's been quite a few.
I can't even imagine the adrenaline rush, and when that call comes in, you got to get on the truck and head on out.
Well, it's odd that you say that, because when people are over at the firehouse and you're constantly talking to people from around the country, all of a sudden, we get a call and they look at me and says, you're like a little kid. You just all of a sudden you get all excited and you jump up, and I still have that feeling where I just want to go and do something. Not ready for that feeling to go yet.
1-2 on Clevenger's high.
That's a very unique trait. When most people would turn and run away from situations, you and people like you run in.
Well, you're trained. I mean, we've got a good academy that trains us, and just about all the firemen in the city of Chicago, that's what we do. And it's not a job.
Let's make this an annual thing. You got to come back up and sing. First of all, great rendition, and great to see you, John. Thanks for stopping over.
Tried.
Again. Thanks for everything you do.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, John.
All right,
appreciate it.
And stop by the firehouse.
GMC Sportsnet Central. Coming up tonight at 10 on Comcast Sportsnet, Jay Cutler's reaction to criticism and the latest on the pennant races. Join Chris Bowden and Mark Shinowski for GMC Sportsnet Central tonight at 10, only on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend.
Enjoyed that conversation, and we do hope they come back and sing. Such great neighbors, and nice to know they're protecting us here in the city. As Alberto Cabrera is on. Manny Corpus, 2 scoreless innings. He did give up the Ryan Hannigan 3-run double. All those runs were charged to the starter Germano. Final warm-up toss. It'll be Ludwig, Bruce, and Roland to bat. Here in the Reds' 8th. Well, what happened to the Cubs' bats here, partner? They had that big comeback on Sunday, 13-9 over the Pirates, 15 hits, all jumping out of the ballpark. Could only muster 2 singles by Darwin Barney last night, and tonight, singles by Barney and Clevenger. That's it.
And not even once again a lot of loud contact tonight. That's what Dale Swain was bemoaning about the ball game last night. Just not a lot of good at bats, not a lot of good swings when hitters did get favorable counts, and tonight's more of the same.
Two and one. Wants his fastball toward the outside. 2-2. He blew it right past Ryan Ludwig.
A good late life pitch on the outer third of the plate at 91, but looked much faster judging from the reaction of Ryan Ludwig in the batter's box. Normally a real good low fastball hitter, but Cabrera blew that one right by him.
Chris Bosio, Bob. I think he might be a four-seamer that just has good life. And at 90. Foul strike on Bruce. He's definitely a four-seamer. Appeared to rise. Now that pitch does not actually rise. It just doesn't dip as much. Another one.
The guys that usually have that illusion of a rising fastball are guys that throw right over the top. They get that pure backspin on their fastball, have four seams working through the wind, and it just counteracts the effects of gravity enough that it gives the illusion that that ball is rising as it gets into the hitting zone.
Bruce went. Yep. As Diaz agrees. 2-2.
Good call. Bat got out there in front of home plate. We have to ask Jay Bruce tomorrow if he's ever had an umpire grant him timeout when he straightens out that left arm right before he gets in the batter's box. There. You know, you could see the home plate umpire, Tim Welke, intently looking out toward the mound at Cabrera as he strikes him out. And you see that left arm come up in the air. It'd be easy to assume that the batter's requesting timeout, but Jay Bruce does it before every pitch. The two-seamer that time. Little tailing, sinking action as it got into the hitting zone, and Bruce swings right over the top.
Back-to-back Ks for Cabrera, now rolling. Deep right, but playable for De Jesus. Only 6 outs to go for the Cubs. They're trying to get their offense in gear, down 3-0. Thanks, Mark. Check out our Home Depot doing more on defense. Jackson will get right to that 400 sign. The catch against Joey Votto. That's not a bad angle to take out there, because if you go directly to the ball, you probably bang right into the wall.
Yep.
And he knows that drill as he bunts foul. Former Cub Sean Marshall. One catch in the Reds bullpen. Bailey nearing 100 pitches thrown. That's number 98 of the night. 2-1. cracked his bat as he grounds out to Phillips. Jay Chapman will get the ninth.
Right at the century mark for Homer Bailey in this game tonight. He's been very efficient with his pitches. We talked about it earlier in the ball game. Reds starting rotation has done an outstanding job this year getting their team deep into the ball game. Bullpen has been used pretty much all season in a very orderly fashion. Homer Bailey was one of his best outings ever against the Cubs.
Just outside into Tim Welke. Brian LaHare will hit for Cabrera. Pulled in the left. A two-hit night for Darwin Barney.
Ladies and gentlemen, handshake for the Cubs. Number 6, Brian LaHare.
Obviously, we can't show you Dusty Baker's little cheat sheet. Every manager has one. It's a little lineup card. You know, you'll write down little notes about what certain opposing hitters do against lefties and righties and other situations. His card is not particularly big, but I always used to marvel at it when he was with the Cubs. He would fill it out. It'd take him about an hour for game 1 of a 3-game series, and then he would add to it for games 2 and 3. Pretty much he's done that every game of his managerial career going back to day 1. But he writes so small. I don't know how he can read it. And I think probably only he can. If he handed it to me, I might not be able to make any use of it. As LaHare finds a right field corner. Barney will score. And LaHare has a double. Cubs are on the board for the first time since Sunday. 3-1. And the tying run will come to the plate.
Slider down and in. Actually off the plate down. Brian LaHare goes down and golfs it into that right field corner. Listash waving Darwin Barney around second, keeping a close eye on Jay Bruce out there in right field. Looked like Bruce played that ball very cautiously off the fence, and that gave Pat Listash the opportunity to wave Barney on home with the first run of the game.
LaHare now 6 for 9 against Homer Bailey, and that will be it for him. Sean Marshall, the Honda call to the pen. He's coming on. 3-1 Reds. So the Cubs get into the Reds bullpen. They lead the majors in bullpen ERA. Haven't allowed a run in 6 games, covering 21 innings. 4 earned runs allowed over the last 12 games. Bob, this bullpen, and certainly Aroldis Chapman a big part of it, but you see Sean with 70 strikeouts. They're averaging over 10 strikeouts per 9 innings as a bullpen. And according to Elias, that would be the second highest season average for a bullpen in Major League history, behind only the 2010 Atlanta Braves. Dave Sapelt will hit for DeJesus. Probably in a closing spot tonight, it would be Jonathan Broxton with Aroldis Chapman still not available due to shoulder fatigue.
Talking to Dusty Baker before the game today, had an interesting little interchange about Dave Sapelt. Sapelt played 38 games for Dusty last year as a member of the Reds. Came to the Cubs in an off-season trade, and Dusty was relaying the story about the time after batting practice that he called Dave Sapelt Mighty Mouse. And Dave was a little offended. Dusty said, "No, don't you know who Mighty Mouse is?" Oh, of course, Dave Sapelt doesn't know. Dusty's about my age, and Keith Moreland was there. We're all about the same age. We all knew Mighty Mouse. Here I come to save the day.
Yeah.
Hey, bullets would bounce off his chest. He'd beat up big villains and stuff. And Dave Sapelt had never heard of Mighty Mouse, so Dusty told him, "Go home and YouTube it." So Dave Sapelt did. He went home, punched it up on his computer, and found out what Mighty Mouse was all about. And after that, he kind of enjoyed that nickname.
Would have asked him to look up some Andy Kaufman highlights too. J.J. Hoover is up.
Mighty Mouse, that was Saturday morning automatic when I was a kid.
Woo! 1-2 on the Sean Marshall curveball. Carlos Marmol has joined Chapman. Hit him on the foot, so that will send LaHair back to second. And it will also send Sapelt to first.
It's the very definition of a back foot slider right there. The idea is to get the right-handed batter to swing over the top of it, but Sapelt's able to check his swing, and that slider actually hits him on the back foot.
Oh, ouch. Rookie Josh Vitters will pinch hit for Valbuena.
We know from Sean Marshall's time here in Chicago, it makes all the sense in the world to put as many right-handers against him as you possibly can. Righties are hitting about 110 points higher than lefties this year. Left-handed batters a 176 average on the season. Right-handed hitters 282.
Marshall has a sign from his catcher Hannigan. Here's a pitch. 1-1. Marshall recently turned 30 at the end of August. Saw him grow up in the Cubs organization. Being sent to Cincinnati in a deal that involved the guy he just hit, Dave Chappelle.
Tough duty for Josh Vitters when you're not getting regular at bats. The most recent experience has been in the cage, facing your coaching staff, throwing about 60 miles per hour. A little soft toss works, tee work, and then you get out there in a ball game and face a guy like Sean Marshall. And twisting foul down the right field line. Some of the best breaking stuff in Major League Baseball. Nasty curve, nasty slider, sneaky quick with his fastball.
Strike 3. That's how Sean Marshall works a lot of times. Backwards. Curveball, curveball, cutter, curve, fastball with 2 strikes.
Yeah,
and guys are frozen.
He just kind of lulls you into an easy-going rhythm with the slow breaking pitches and mixing in some cutters, as you said. And then just about the time the batter feels like he's slowed down to the speed of the pitches, he shoots a 90-mile-per-hour fastball in the outside corner. Probably looked like it was 100.
Strike 1 to Rizzo.
Four of Rizzo's 14 home runs this season have come against left-handed pitching, including one against the Pirates in that last series.
Inside, 2-1. Jose Reyes 2-out RBI single. Bottom of the 10th. Miami beat the Braves 4-3. It was after the Marlins blew a 3-0 ninth inning deficit. Ground ball to second. Phillips to Votto, and that's it. Cubs will have to settle with 1 run on the board, but trailing 3-1 as we go to the ninth. Time now for our Xfinity high-speed action. One big swing of the bat for the Reds tonight, making the difference. Ryan Hannigan cleared the bases with a 3-run double. Bang, bang, bang. Votto, Ludwig, Bruce in. They have a 3-1 lead here in the ninth. Rookie Jade Chapman trying to keep the Reds at 3. Brian LaHare stays in after getting the Cubs on the board with a pinch hit double. And Josh Vitters playing third after batting for Valbuena.
Tickets are available for the remainder of the 2012 Cubs season, including the rest of this homestand against division rivals, the Cardinals, beginning this Friday through Sunday right here at Wrigley Field. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com, call 1-800-THE-CUBS, or visit the Wrigley Field box office.
So here is Hannigan. Even with 20 RBIs on the season, added 3 to his total with that double in the 6th, and he grounds out to Barney. And 1 pitch to start the ninth. Slider missed. Jonathan Broxton was closing for the Royals before coming over to the Reds. Well, now he's closing in place of Aroldis Chapman for the time being. Jade Chapman. 2 quick outs here in the ninth. Follow the Cubs with the MLB.com @Bat 12 app for your iPhone, iPad, Android, and Windows Mobile. Get live audio, pitch tracking, video highlights, and more. Text @Bat to 31826 or visit Cubs.com for details. Xavier Paul announced as a pinch hitter for Sean Marshall. He's hitting .367 as a pinch hitter.
62 total at bats on the season. 30 of those have come off the bench as a pinch hitter for Dusty Baker.
You may remember on August 19th in Cincy, big leadoff pinch hit triple in the bottom of the ninth on the first pitch of that inning, and then on the next pitch he scored the game-ending run. It's over in Pittsburgh. The Brewers beat the Pirates 6-0. Giovanni Gallardo now 16-8. A.J. Burnett took the loss to drop to 15-8. Cardinals leading late 4-0 over the Astros in St. Louis. They're in the 8th inning. The Brewers had 7 stolen bases tonight.
And we just saw that Pirates team here at Wrigley Field also on that last road trip, and we gave you the numbers many times. Michael McHenry, Rod Barajas both having issues throwing out runners, and Pirates pitching staff not real good at keeping the runners close.
Ryan Braun with 3 of those steals.
Not surprised that the Brewers turned that into a track meet.
Swing and a miss on the patented changeup. We'll go to the bottom of the ninth. Cubs down 2, 3-1. Cubs are back in action against Jay Bruce and the rival Reds. Coverage starts at 6:30 with Subaru Cubs pregame live. Cubs and Reds tomorrow night at 6:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend. This is next week and a half of Cubs baseball. Finish up the homestand this weekend against St. Louis and then off to the West. 3 at Colorado and 3 in Arizona before returning home to play the Astros. Jonathan Broxton, you see his combined numbers with Kansas City. He was acquired from the Royals at the trade deadline. A couple of pitchers. Soriano greets him by sending a fly out to right. Jay Bruce is there. Numbers have been really good here lately for Broxton. 10 straight appearances without a run allowed, 5 hits, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. Quiet night for Castro. 0 for 3. Soriano 0 for 4. Rizzo 0 for 3 with a walk. Jesus 0 for 3. Jackson 0 for 3. Barney has a couple of hits. Clevenger has 1, and then LaHare off the bench with the RBI double. Three 3-0 on Castro. Wellington Castillo's going to hit for Clevenger. Bruce again in right. And the Reds 1 out away from shaving a number off their magic number, trying to get it down to 4. And here's Castillo with 2 outs.
Ladies and gentlemen, handshake for the Cubs, number 53, Wellington Castillo.
Castillo and Clevenger both 1-for-1 lifetime against Jonathan Broxton, each with a double. I think perhaps Dale just feels like right now Wellington Castillo is swinging the bat a little bit better than Steve Clevenger, even though Clevenger did get the Cubs' first base hit of the game. That ringing single into right field back in the 5th.
Deep breath by Broxton before the pitch. A slider at 89, low and outside. 2-1. The low strike at 96, 2-2. Crowd didn't like it. Castillo not so sure. Let's see what Pitch Track says.
Maybe one of the red seams nipped the bottom of the kneecaps right there. That's not a good pitch to offer at anyway for Wellington Castillo. A 96-mile-an-hour fastball down there below the knees, probably going to be a ground ball.
Two offering. It's going to land just into the seats over that ledge beyond the bullpen. Todd and Gale getting ready for post-game live. Sounds like there are a bunch of hyenas or something in the crowd. An interesting chants, screaming going on. Is that some sort of rally chant?
I'm not sure what that is. It could possibly be Reds fans, you know, anticipating a victory here. I'm not sure. I know there's some Red fans right below us.
Topper foul. Still 2-2. Well, it's not particularly pleasant to the ears.
No, it isn't. I would have expected to hear it last night, you know. Coyotes and wolves and stuff late at night. You hear them howling at the moon, but it's only 10 o'clock. We weren't even started at this time last night.
Swing and a miss on a slider at 90 to end the game. Broxton goes 1-2-3 in the ninth. The Cubs have scored just one time over the last 2 days. A 3-0 loss to the Pirates late last night. And the first place Reds beat them 3-1 tonight. So the Reds' magic number down to 4. The Cardinals leading 4-1 in the 8th. So it'll probably stay at 4 for the next 24 hours. And in Dusty Baker's 3,000th Major League game as a manager, he gets his 1,573rd win. Let's check out our GMC player of the game. It's going to be starter and winner for the Reds, Homer Bailey.
I said it earlier in the telecast. As good as we've ever seen Homer Bailey. Really had command of all of his pitches. Was working in a real nice rhythm with his catcher Ryan Hannigan, and kept his team in the ball game until they could figure out Justin Germano.
Stay tuned. Cubs post game live from Wrigley coming up. Gale and Todd are getting ready on the field as we speak. For Bob and our entire CSN crew, Len Casper saying so long from Wrigley Field. Final score: Reds 3, Cubs 1. We're back here tomorrow night, 6:30, for pregame live. Reds and Cubs on CSN. In-game scoring provided by ScorePad. You've been watching Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet Plus, now part of the NBC